Hey there, Uncle Aaron here. So I want to take a moment to introduce myself. Thank you for tuning into my channel. So my focus here is to bring you some information about finances, about wellness, mental health. Why? Because myself, I'm a disabled U.S. Marine veteran. I served in the Gulf back. I got out of Marine Corps a long time ago, and I've suffered from PTSD. And in the past 10 years, it really took a toll on me because I also suffer from physical issues related to my military service. I had been a photographer. I'm one of the original .com guys. I worked for a website called About.com. I was a technical director. We're going back 25 years now. So for me, I've had a long career. I spent 10 years producing radio shows as well as video and some television work. And I had to give up my career because of spinal, hip, and knee issues. I could no longer move around the way I once did. I'd been a professional photographer in Westchester, New York for the past 15 years. Web development, and PTSD was really debilitating. My entire life, I did not feel I had the veterans experience because I got out of the Marine Corps after 2 tours overseas, and I kind of felt like I went about my life. I knew that my body was, I had pain, I've always had pain, but I didn't know that I was suffering from these mental issues that were going on. And about 8 years ago, everything came to a head. So what do? My whole life just came to a screeching halt. I went from making X amount to making $10,000 or so a year with no safety net because I couldn't get off the couch for 3 months because of back and spinal issues. Now I have cortisone shots all through half my body over here, but I'm grateful for what I have. I was afforded an opportunity to go to college. Why? Because I'm a disabled veteran. I ended up, none of us want to go and get the help that we need. We feel like we can do it ourselves. Well, I was kind of dragged to the VA by my post commander. I was with the American Legion, and he made me go. The best decision I ever did. Because from doing that, again, I didn't realize what my issues were. Back in the day when I got out of Marine Corps, they didn't give you any kind of percentages. It was almost like you're just happy to be out of the Marine Corps, so just take that and go. But hindsight, 2020, ultimately I went and I got checked out, 70% disabled veteran because of all the physical issues I had. Well, that afforded me an opportunity to take advantage of the Veterans Rehabilitation Program. This program will pay for veterans to go to college or to go to a service school to restart their career. Now, I do receive a disability, and the disability is making up for all of the income I lost out on because of my disabilities. So it helps. I didn't want any of this. I wish that I could have just had my career. I was really happy. I'm a good photographer. I enjoy it. But at the end of the day, life always has its twists and turns. So over the past 8 years, as I mentioned, I was able to go to college. So I went to Manhattanville College. It's now Manhattanville University. I have a degree. And during that time, I also was introduced to finances. Back in 2020, I had an opportunity, beginning of COVID, to start learning about finances, to work in somebody's office. And this gentleman, Rich, fantastic. I spent time with him. And from that, I then started taking the exams. You got to take a SIE, then I took Series 7, Series 66, some of the hardest exams in the country. I passed them all. Became a licensed financial advisor. I've been working with Ameriprise Financial in an operations role, supporting 5 advisors. These gentlemen, top of their game. One of the gentlemen I knew years ago, I worked for him actually in another capacity as a videographer. And because of how I worked back then, he gave me an opportunity because he knew what my ethics were. And he hired me in, and I worked in his office. I supported him, other advisors he brought in. My advisors won awards on the digital side because of what I was doing, because that's my background. But what I also realized is that the the price point to get into seeing an advisor is kind of high. I mean, these gentlemen are highly trained, highly educated. I can see why. But at the same time, there's a lot of individuals out there, like myself growing up, that we just don't have the finances to sit down with an advisor. So I had started a nonprofit. I'm in the process of building Blocks Literacy. My goal was to help financial literacy for the underprivileged and veteran community. Because I don't have a long background in financial advisory, it wasn't hitting as well. Like, I'm not looking to make a lot of money at all. I'm just looking to get information out there so people understand. So here I am. What do? Somebody said I should write a memoir. Okay, that's great. I got a great story. I don't want to talk about me. I don't. It's a veteran story. I've told you about as much about me as I'd prefer to tell you, right? Not because I'm a private person, because it's irrelevant. But where I'm at is that instead of going and writing a book about me, what was coming out of me was the how-to. I've been in therapy for 10 years. I have my best friend is a holistic practitioner, Lauren, who has opened my mind to different mindfulness techniques, to different types of resiliency. Like, I did a bunch of reading. I found incredible authors that really know what they're talking about. I had started writing a few years ago. During COVID, I had nothing to do. And I decided to pick up some of those books. I had started writing a budget book. I started writing a finance book and an entrepreneurialism book because I was in college, I had to write a long essay, and I actually wrote it on entrepreneurialism, which turned into a book. When I was in college, I also learned how to do research. I learned how to compile. I learned how to actually create a publication. I also have a background as a publisher. Many moons ago, I had an entertainment publication. I was not a writer back then, but I had talented college students, and that's what they did. It was called On the Inside. So now here I am, full circle, 20 years later, and I decided to put out books as a method of teaching. I can't sit down with all these individuals. There are so many veterans out there and underprivileged that I would really love to talk to. My time is coming, I'm hoping. But it's through these books, the Uncle Aaron series. They're not stuffy. I don't have time to write something that's stuffy. I want to write something that you can relate to, that you can read it and interact with. So I wrote an aging book. I'm a photographer. Do you know how many women I've done work with that have told me some of their secrets, how they're feeling? Now, I recorded a lot of these, some of it was for protecting me because we're doing intimate types of shoots, but I had realized that there was a theme, and I just jotted down notes, and I turned this now into a book. It's aging and how to age gracefully. This isn't coming from me. These are coming from other individuals. I've now put out 7 books. I have 3 more that I'm working on. They're not about me. The reason why I waited to put them all out at once, to be honest, is because I can offer them at a lower price. Because I'm not worried about how much I make on one book. I can offer them so that you all can read all these books. It's great information. My mindset has changed. I'm always optimistic, even though I suffer from crippling anxiety and PTSD and nightmares and all that kind of stuff that none of us really want to talk about. We all have PTSD. I don't care whether you're a civilian or whether you're a military man. The difference between military and civilian is military are aware they may have it. Civilians are not so much aware. I'm so proud of where we have come, though, as a society, that opening up and talking about the mental debilitating issues you may have is no longer taboo. I love it. I'm a neurodivergent. So for me, like watching movies, reading things, I can't figure out the plots. You don't want to watch stuff with me. But I'm now putting that to good use, this energy that I have. So I wrote a book. One of my first books had come out, right? This is it. This is the one I'd started when I was in college. And this one I'm proud of because it's written basic, straightforward for you to understand. I'm not trying to talk over your head. I'm also not trying to bore you. And look at this book. Look how big that text is. I'm not trying to kill you with your reading either. I want to make it easy. Yes, it's not a little book. Why? Because I got a lot to say. There's a lot to do with money that the wealthy are utilizing that we just don't know about. That's what Money Adventure is. My budgeting guide is coming because I put a lot of care into it. But I'm here to talk to you about me, why I'm doing this. I don't want to get political, but with the current climate in America and the politics that are going on and tariffs and everything that are being talked about, there's a lot of shit that's about to kick off. That whole fuck around and find out, yeah, well, folks are about to. But what's more importantly and what I'm going to focus on is educating you. Educating you on how to budget properly, how to understand your finances, how to understand where your retirement funds are, where they will be. But just forgetting about retirement, you want to buy a house in 5 years, you want to buy a house in 10 years. You want to retire. There are so many little strategies that you can use that, I won't say somebody's gatekeeping, but the price to entry to sit down with a highly educated and licensed individual sometimes is too high. I'm not knocking them because I am one of. And I'd like to sit down with a wealthy and just make a lot of money. But that wouldn't feed my soul. What feeds my soul is knowing that you have the basic financial literacy that everybody should have. I wrote books for teens. Why? Because I have teenagers. I also have a 32-year-old daughter and 2 grandkids. Okay. But I wrote books for teens and those in mid-20s because I needed to answer all the questions I had at that age. In this climate, in this day and age, with all these things, that these kids have so much information technology at their fingertips. But if they don't know what questions to ask or how to use it, they're not going to benefit from it. That's why I'm trying to come in. I'm trying to give you real world stuff. My name is Aaron Kershaw. I'm a U.S. Marine. I'm a father. I worry about my country. I worry about its people. I'm not going to be a social influencer that's going to talk shit about everything else. I'm going to fucking educate you. I'm going to give you the information. I'm going to give you the real world. This is why I'm Uncle Aaron. Because we all got a crazy uncle out there, right? That they just talk it. They don't care. Well, I care. But I'm still going to talk it. But I'm not going to disrespect people. I'm going to tell you like it is. So come along on this journey with me and learn. Get educated, have some knowledge. I've even written a civics book. Yes, I wrote a civics book on how the government works. 220 pages. Just so you understand, I don't write little books. I write damn near novel because I want to make sure we cover the right information. We get it to you. Non-political. I am a U.S. Marine. The Constitution is all I care about. So when I say I hate a politician, it has more to do with how they are or are not representing what the Constitution is. So for me, all I want is for educated citizens. That's it. I'm in pain every day. I've got friends in pain every day. Some of them vote on a different political side than I do. But what we all have in common is that we want a better America. They're just a little misguided and they don't have all the answers because they don't even know what questions to ask. And they're ignoring those who have the right answers. Ignore me if you want, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to talk. I'm going to get more comfortable with this. Stay tuned. This is Uncle Aaron. If you've gotten this far, you're interested in what I've got to say. It's going to be more than that cartoon character of me, but he'll be there too.